Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, House of Havoc proudly presents their podcast tag team champions of the world. The big guy, Chris Johansson, the muskrat Alicino, and as always, I'm that J-I-M-M-Y, the death of Kayfabe.
When wrestling fans think of the best Royal Rumbles of all time, there's a small handful that come to mind. Most people would tell you the 1992 Royal Rumble, where Ric Flair won the WWF Championship by outlasting 29 other superstars, is the best. Others may say that the 1997 Royal Rumble, where Stone Cold Steve Austin would win his first of 3 Rumble matches. One that is often overlooked is the Rumble that took place 20 years ago, the 2002 Royal Rumble. With some excellent surprise entrants, one of the best moments in Rumble history taking place, and the return of the injured Triple H, 2002 is one of the best and most overlooked Rumbles in history.
All right, guys, listen. Pat McAfee said it best. You got to look good to feel good. You got to feel good to play good. Well, we're going to help you guys look good with Saatchi di Dinero, all right? It's the finest Italian material. It's fire. It's comfortable. And we got a saving for you, all right? You're going to use promo code HAVOC for 10% off your total purchase at SaatchiDiDinero.com. Also, check them out over at Instagram at Saatchi di Dinero. Saatchi di Dinero, always authentic, never counterfeit.
So the 2002 Royal Rumble was the last Royal Rumble under the WWF name before it turned to WWE, and it was also the final Royal Rumble before they did the first brand split or extension, we'll call it. It was the 15th annual Royal Rumble, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. And then these are just some, buy rates. The buy rate was 670,000, and the attendance was 16,106, which seems kind of low nowadays, right? Like as compared, but I guess whatever.
Not a dome show.
Right.
They really only did, I think.
Yeah, like
90s
Ford Field was when they started doing stadiums regularly like that, right?
And 97 was at the San Antonio, where the Spurs play, like that giant dome in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So that was a dome show.
The Alamo Dome.
The Alamo Dome, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. And other than that, I think every Royal Rumble to that point was just at a regular, 15, 20,000 seats.
Which is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
15,000 tickets is a lot of fun.
No,
how many tickets were at the Grand Slam we were at? That was like a
22.
Was it 22,000?
Yeah, 22.
And that's an amazing number today. We're talking about 20 years ago.
It's hard to compare the buy rates because it's totally different now. But
you also got to take into consideration inflation. I mean, it's 20 years
ago.
Oh,
100%. So the tagline was 30 men, 1 match, 1 winner. And here we go. So commentators, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. Interviewers, Coachman and Cole and Lillian Garcia. The host of the show was Shawn Michaels. The ring announcer was Howard Finkel, and the referees, I'm not going to go into them, but they were basically everybody.
The Hebners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think
Remsburg.
I think with Shawn Michaels, I think originally their plan was to have him enter the Royal Rumble, because this was in the time when he had gotten himself straight,
right,
and Vince was looking to bring him back. And I think they wanted him for the Rumble, but then he turned it down. He wasn't ready to get back in the ring at that point. But he was getting himself back into shape, because he would make his debut, I think, right after WrestleMania or something like that. He would come back as a member of the NWO. Because this was like a huge, 2002 was such a giant year of transition for the WWE, because so many parts were moving. I mean, this is right after the Invasion angle had just ended. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot going on.
Whatever new faces from WCW that did stick around are still relatively new faces.
Well, I mean, the thing is like this is, we'll talk about the match, but this is Flair had just come back right before this, and he was like one of the first. Booker T came over right away, but Flair was like one of the first
big ones,
like like a guy who was associated with WCW to come over.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, they brought Flair in just to be an on-screen personality, not a wrestler. Meanwhile, he's wrestling in a match against Vince McMahon at this Rumble.
Yeah. So there's 5 matches that does not include the Royal Rumble. So the 6 in total. And I'm just going to start us off. I'm going to tell you who fought, the results, and then you tell me what you think about it. So opened the night with a 5-minute match. I know the Royal Rumble consumes a lot of it, so
cards are much smaller. It's like a 2.5 hour card.
You have to take it with a grain of salt. But 5 minutes. Spike Dudley and Taz were the tag team champions, and they defend against the Dudley Boys.
They won. Then Taz and Spike won.
Yeah, they were the champs coming in.
This is the Dudley Boys with Stacy Keibler, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So they retain.
My
So
first
go ahead.
my first commentary on this match is it's just a sign of the times and how not a good look for women at the start of this match. Jerry Lawler constantly referencing the puppies and how he'd like to play with her and how she's too pretty to be in the ring. And then at one point,
got the chills.
at one point she jumps up on the apron and gets herself involved, and JR says, "What's this Jezebel doing up here?" It's just overall how the company was, how the world was, a little bit.
You have to chalk it up to as a different time.
And but even for that time, the shit Jerry Lawler would say, even all the way up to like 2008, was never really should have been okay. But it's just the way the time was,
It's just, I mean, here's the thing: you could always look back and try to retcon what they did and how this was bad or whatever.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Just point it out so much because you forget about it. I'm watching it when JR calls him a Jezebel. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
All right, just real quick. I don't know if either one of you are watching Pam and Tommy. It's on Hulu.
Haven't started yet.
No, I haven't started yet, but I will.
It's really well done. And if you look at, like, I remember because I grew up in the thick of when Pam Anderson was like the sex symbol. And she, like Kim Kardashian of today, because Kim Kardashian could, for not for us necessarily, but for a lot of guys, is considered a sex symbol. They made their big breaks on sex videos. I mean, how else were they going to get over? I mean, Pam Anderson, listen, she was not a good actress, but very nice to look at in the day.
Right.
And again, it was just the way society was. Things were just different. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
So again, you have to chalk that up. I mean,
And more appealing to, at this point, 2002, the target demo is 10 to 39 ish.
It's the tail end of the Attitude Era.
So
it's still Attitude Era-esque. I mean, it's not
we're
the Attitude
appealing.
Era, but
We're appealing to younger, hornier, probably mostly single men.
Well, it's the 18 to 39-year-old male that you're
Yeah.
appealing to at this point. You know what I mean? And so, who wouldn't want to see Stacy Keibler jump up on the ring apron, pull her shorts up so her ass cheeks are hanging out, and wiggle her ass? I mean, to this day, I would still like to see that. I mean, that's just me being honest. I mean, I'm a red-blooded American male. I would like to see that. So, I mean, and again, I'm not saying like it's like I have a daughter. I don't want my daughter doing that. But again, this is what at the time was acceptable.
It's what it was. It's what was accepted. It was a different time, and obviously, thankfully, we live in a world today where with the women, it's about the wrestling first and foremost.
And can we just say this before we move on? Stacy Keibler is one of the best-looking divas of all time.
Oh yeah, well that goes.
Mr. Alcino's favorite over there.
I felt like that
All-time
goes without
favorite.
saying, but whatever.
I mean, I have to bring it up. I mean,
Yeah,
As far as the
match,
as far
it's
as the
5
match
minutes.
goes, it's a quick match. Anytime you see Spike, you're gonna get a lot of crazy bumps. That little crazy fuck that he was, and we also saw not one but two Spike. What's it called? The Spike driver.
Oh, like
It's like the sliced bread, but instead of flipping, it's the sliced bread cutter.
Yeah.
And they wound up retaining, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is right before Taz. I think this is one of Taz's last matches before.
Had to have been because by 2004 he's a full blown SmackDown commentator.
Because I don't think he wrestled too much after this. Maybe he was on that WrestleMania 18 card. Maybe because I think at the time I think Chuck and Billy were the tag champs at the time of WrestleMania. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the match?
Well, it was,
Average.
5-minute tag.
Yeah.
5 minute tag match is a 5 minute tag match.
Taz couldn't really do what he could normally do.
Right.
I mean, the Dudleys at the time were probably the best tag team in the world at that point.
How long are you gonna go with Taz? Wait, only months before retirement and fucking Spike Dudley.
Right, 100%. All right, so match number 2, Edge comes in as the Intercontinental Champion, and he drops it to William Regal. They're given 10 minutes to work, singles match. What do you think?
Well, this was a transitional. I mean, Regal was definitely a transitional champion because I think he dropped the title to, I want to say, RVD at Mania.
I think so, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think that's 100% accurate.
And it was a solid match. I mean, you're not, with Regal and Edge, you're not going to have a bad match. It was not, they told
Regal
him,
was a very underrated worker from my own perspective.
No, he's
growing up. I never saw. I always thought he was so bland, but looking back,
Regal's another company guy who just did whatever he needed.
Yeah,
and then got thrown away in the trash.
I would love to see him.
He's fine. He's fine.
He'll be all right. Yeah. So I was gonna say Regal definitely one of the more underrated wrestlers, if not of all time, of this era. Of
Goldust too, but yeah, whatever.
Gold. Yeah. Well, we've already Goldust. Dustin has dug himself out of that hole with his work as of late.
Yeah.
Regal wasn't afforded that opportunity. Great old school heel storytelling with the screwy finish, and we had seen leading up to it the week before where he had not the week before, a couple weeks before, he won his way into the match by winning the shot with the brass knuckles.
Yep.
Whoever ref, do you have the ref of this match? Because it matters.
Patrick?
I do not.
Whoever was the ref of this match before the match opened up, pulled his trunks out, and stuck his hand down into his pants to feel around for the brass knuckles
Oh, it might have been Corderas.
before the match, which I thought was funny. You know, it's a little funny, it's a little hacky, but it's also all telling the story because, as we all know, ultimately Regal does still get the knucks for the win.
Well, that whole spot is a very Regal spot where Regal could do the comedy, but you could also take him seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, didn't Edge get hurt right after this? Because I think Edge was in line to get that next push because they were really, really high on him. And I know that around this time period, I think he got hurt because they were taking the IC strap off of him because they were going to go with Van Dam.
Yeah.
And then I think they were going to push Edge up into that main event picture. Not saying that he was going to be champ or anything, but just more.
He probably did get hurt right around this time, a little late. Yeah.
I think he was next in line to get like that big push.
Well, WrestleMania 18, that's what it was, right?
Which?
The one leading up to this was WrestleMania 18.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So.
Because I have it in my notes, and we'll get there, but they had no plans for that WrestleMania. There was no plans. I mean, we'll get there once we get to the Rumble, but
match 3, Trish Stratus. That's hard to say. Is the champ. She defeats Jazz, and the special guest referee was Jacqueline. The match was 3 minutes and 45 seconds. I feel like I need to say 45 seconds because, I mean, I guess every second counts.
Hashtag give Divas a chance.
Yeah, every second counts when you're talking a few minutes.
And you had the screwy shit with Jacqueline being the referee, and she's got doing the slow count and the fast count. And I got to be honest with you, all three of these women are some of the all-time greats in women wrestling. Not good work in this match.
Well, you get 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to
do? It's a sprint, dude. It's a sprint.
Like
it's an
she finishes it with just a regular bulldog. It's not even the Stratosphere.
Yeah.
Or the Stratisfaction.
It's a sprint. You can't tell a story.
They call it the Stratisfaction, but it's just like the regular bulldog that Jericho would do in the middle of a match.
Is that 3 minutes and 45 seconds with entrances or no entrances?
No,
that's
match
bell
time. Bell to bell.
Bell to bell. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is Jazz was, arguably the best female worker at that time. Jacqueline, who would always, she's a woman who could work with men, she can work with women, she can work with anybody.
Yeah.
And Trish, arguably,
still new, right?
What?
Trish still relatively new in the ring at this point.
New in the ring, but still finding herself and developing into the greatest woman wrestler of all time. Until Charlotte eventually takes over that title. But I mean, that's a whole other story. But 3 minutes and 45 seconds, what kind of story can you tell in that? So you can't blame them for that.
This is we're going to do this. I'm going to do this personally every time we do this show, the Flashback show. Hashtag give Divas a chance.
Match 4. We finally get a little bit of time. 15 minutes, 14 minutes, 55 seconds. So 15 minutes. It's a street fight, but it's Ric Flair. And that you mentioned earlier that it's probably his first one of his first matches.
If I'm not mistaken, this was his first match since coming back to the WWE.
He defeats Vince McMahon by submission. Go ahead. Somebody.
As far as street fights go with Rick, who at the time people probably viewed him as over the hill, but as we all know, he had another 10 years left.
Who would have thought?
Well, not 10 years, but he
roughly 10. I mean, he definitely had the 10 years in him. When did he wind up getting retired? 09?
08 or 09.
No, but we're talking about wrestling, singles matches.
So this was on that, he had like a 5 or 6 year run where he was still wrestling. I mean, he was like the U.S. champ at one point, I think.
Yeah. This was the classic, Vince not a trained wrestler almost at all. Like, how much real training do you think he has? Like, someone taught him how to take a flat back bump, and that was it?
He gets in the ring with a couple guys, and they show him a couple things, and that's it.
Like, he can do the basic bumps, and great shout out to Color the Hard Way.
Yep.
Both of these guys got Color the hard way.
Oh, they beat the shit
out of each other. They beat the shit out of each other. They told a good emotional match, which Vince has always been good when he is in the ring. Now, some of it, he has that built-in icing on the cake because it's Stephanie, it's Shane, it's the family angles. But this one with the winner gets the loser's stake in the match.
Right.
Without it being...
I guess we should have broken that down.
Yeah, the winner gets the loser's stake in the company.
Flair had bought out Stephanie and Shane's shares.
Stephanie had sold to
so
Rick.
They were technically partners at that time. And
see, now, if you look at this from the standpoint that this is the beginning of the NWO storyline and where that could have gone, I mean, how you can't really do it any better than bringing in the WCW guy, because Ric Flair was the WCW guy, to go against Vince, who is the WWF, and then Vince having to resort to get my company back, I have to bring in the NWO. I couldn't, as a little 18, 19-year-old whitey, couldn't have been more excited for the NWO company to run roughshod, and they just fucked it up because Hogan got way over again.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story for another.
Let me ask you this, because obviously 02, we're 9 years old when this is taking place. Is this the first time? Is this the birth of that look for Vince, in-ring look? The do-rag and the black on black with the gloves? Because this look becomes synonymous with Vince McMahon. Anytime he steps in the rings forward from this point, that's what he's in, to the point. And it's synonymous with the hardcore matches that Vince put himself in with this, because most recently, not at the World on GCW, but at Homecoming, I believe, Matt Cardona came out in that Vince gear, the do-rag with the black on black and the gloves, and it created an iconic look. I mean, people who don't know wrestling are gonna you put that look on anybody, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's Vince."
Right.
Yeah. You know. So.
I mean, it's told a good story. The match, is
willing to beat the shit out of each other, willing to put their bodies on the line, give the fans a good show.
You gotta look at it from the perspective too that this is like a confidence lost Ric Flair and a Vince McMahon who's not a wrestler, and they still put on a great match.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not great, but good match.
Good enough. I think that's the first good match on the card, because it's the first one that got any significant amount of time. I mean, Regal and Edge did what they had to do at 10 minutes, but still. They told a good story.
But it's also, this is the comparing time eras thing. Now, no matter what era you're in, 3.5 minutes is not enough time.
Yeah.
But in a world where the entire feature of the show is the Rumble match, which you need at least 60 to 80 minutes to tell a
this one
proper
runs 70.
Rumble story. 70 minutes, right? We're in a world where the card is, you got about 2.5 hours on your pay-per-view slot.
Right.
So if you're going over an hour on the Rumble, you only have another hour and 20 to do whatever promo spots you have to do for whatever PlayStation game is sponsoring you. Pre-tapes, video packages, entrances.
Not even.
Else.
The whole show is 2.
The whole show's 2 hours. So there you go.
Yeah, but that's 2 hours on Peacock, right?
No,
the runtime of that show, they still had to fill a 3-hour pay-per-view.
No, it was 2 hours. It was 3 hours pay-per-view, 2 hours of wrestling.
Yes.
Right. That's the gimmick. So they have an hour of filler or whatever they had to do. So the main event before the Royal Rumble, Jericho is the champ. He defeats The Rock. Singles match, undisputed WWF championship. They get just under 19 minutes.
No, refresh my memory on this one. This is a clean finish.
I think there's a little bit of a screw job.
Something screwy, right?
I didn't rewatch the match. I know this was in building Jericho, so that Jericho could drop it to Triple H at Mania. Because this was like the only storyline that they had. This was the culmination of the Rock Jericho feud.
This is pre-Scorpion King or is The Rock about to fuck off to do a movie?
Yes.
You think? I'll find out.
No. He's there until SummerSlam.
So he's there through Mania season, through the whole summer, and then after SummerSlam he fucks off. And that's SummerSlam's Brock Rock, right?
Yes. So he does Hogan, Rock.
Well, I don't know about that, because the Scorpion King releases April 17th, 2002.
So yeah, maybe he went and did the promotion for Scorpion King. He wasn't going to. Maybe he just went to do the promotion.
He probably already had filmed it.
So he probably just came back from shooting filming. Scorpion King. Did this
That's
match
what I'm
with
saying.
Jericho.
Loses one to Jericho.
No, because he was back in. I'm trying to think, because he went off after Mania 17 to do Scorpion King, then came back, and then he won the title because he dropped it to Jericho, and then this was the culmination of that feud.
Right.
Because then they were going to move to Hunter was going to win the Rumble, and then Hunter was going to go Jericho at Mania. So that's. So he probably left after Mania to go do the promotion for Scorpion King, came back, did SummerSlam, and then after SummerSlam, he went and did the Rundown or Walking Tall or both or whatever.
Right.
We all in this room know how I feel about The Rock. Not that he's not one of the greatest. Not that he's not very important for the business as a whole. I don't think he is in the same working class as a lot of the other guys that I put up at the top. But regardless, when you have Hollywood Rock and Chris Jericho in their primes, no matter what, you're getting at least 3 stars. And
when you say that, you mean he's not in the same working class as like Give me a for instance.
Yeah, because that's tough. I don't agree with you at all.
I don't know if I agree with
Like-
that either.
Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, any of the other guys that were at the top while he was
I think
there.
you ask any one of those guys, they're going to put him in that same conversation.
No, he's in the conversation. I just
So let's just break it down this way, because it was reviewed and it was rated, this show, as very high on the Rumble, very low on other things. They said that The Rock Jericho was the worst match they've had together, that it underwhelmed.
And they had phenomenal chemistry.
Yeah, which is fine, but obviously there was nothing to write home about any of these matches. So says the ratings, until the Rumble, which they said made up for it. Everyone thought that it was a very, very underrated Rumble, which is, I think this is why we're doing it, right? So,
Well, I think, personally, I think this is one of the best Rumbles of all time
it's a good one.
because it's got everything you want. It's got great spots within the match. I mean, the main and under.
you're talking about the match, or you're talking about the
match
whole
itself,
card, the
not
whole
the,
pay-per-view?
not the pay-per-view.
The
Okay.
Rumble match itself.
Right. So I
Because
think
like the 92 Rumble, like the undercard is pretty bad. The 97 Rumble, the undercard is bad. But the Royal Rumble pay-per-view is built around one match. I mean,
right,
that's-
100%.
So that's why I'm saying I think this is the most underrated Rumble match itself because of the star power, because of the surprise returns.
Right.
Because you had for me as an 18-year-old, you had Big Boss Man and Mr. Perfect coming back. You had Goldust coming back. You had The Godfather coming back. You had good surprise entrance. The guys.
The
who could-
Godfather was a sick entrance when he came out.
Yeah, I mean, and his whole thing in the Rumble was his entrance.
Well,
yeah,
with the
'cause
whole
he
train.
was in and out, right?
Yeah, with the whole
Yeah.
train.
So I guess we're up to it. Let's do it. 70 minutes it ran. Triple H wins, eliminating Kurt Angle. He gets the shot at WrestleMania 18.
I know Perfect was in that Final Four. Angle, Triple H, and Austin.
So since we have not broken down a Royal Rumble, how would you like me to do it? I have all the entrants and with the order that they came in and the order that they were eliminated.
Go by fives.
All right. Well, here's. Can I just say this before we start? I looked at all the entrants in the Royal Rumble and I wrote them down. And 20 of the 30 guys are in the Hall of Fame, whether it's as a tag team.
Yeah, that's
or
what I
as-
was saying
as,
to one of you when I was watching it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's like
So
Me
many
and
Hall
you.
of
Me and
Fame.
you.
Yeah.
But it's 20 out of 30 guys are either in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame. And again, as either, it could be like the Hardy Boys as a tag team.
Right.
They're going in the Hall
Of course,
Fame.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the Hardys had a good spot in this match.
Yes. They came out back to back.
Back
right?
to back, and
9-10.
it was Taker, right?
Mhm.
They came in, Taker
Yeah.
threw them both out.
Well,
and
Taker
then-
ran roughshod the whole time he was
but there was a whole gimmick between them and Taker leading up to this.
Yes.
that-
Well, because I think that led to the Jeff Hardy ladder match.
Yes, but there was something leading up to the Rumble that there was a gimmick between Matt and Jeff and Taker.
Not Taker, yeah.
And then Taker throws Matt out, Taker throws Jeff out, or throws them both out. And then they, correct me if I'm wrong, they come back into the ring after they're already eliminated and fuck with Taker some more,
Yeah,
right?
but he
And-
still beats the shit out of
Yeah.
both of them. Yeah.
So give me the first 1 and 2, and then the first
'Cause
3
that's
to come in.
American Badass Taker, right?
Yes, American Badass Taker.
Rikishi draws 1. Goldust draws 2.
See, you look at that. Neither one of those guys, do you think? I mean, Rikishi was in the title picture a year before, but never won a title. Goldust was an IC champion, but at this point, he's like a returning Goldust. So you don't think in your mind that either one of those guys has a chance. Now, every time a number 1 comes out, or a number 2 comes out for that matter, it's guys you think that
Well, just we know Rikishi doesn't have a chance because his fat ass ain't going 65 minutes.
Well, that's my point. I mean, but at that time, you didn't think about that. You were just because, when you first used to watch the Royal Rumble match, it was not about the surprises or this or that. It was just like, oh, you're getting to see the 30 top guys in the WWF or E or whatever come out and.
Well, this is a time. Excuse me. This is a time where they had 20 or 30 top guys on the
Right.
roster at one time.
Right, but again,
What do
you
they
didn't-
have? 7 top guys right now? 8, 9, 10 top guys?
Well, they have 40 top guys, but they don't book them right. I mean,
Well,
that's-
you know what I
Stone
mean.
Cold
I-
Steve Austin lasts the longest in this match at 26 minutes and 46 seconds.
All right, well, who's 3 and 4?
Yeah, give me 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Boss Man's 3.
That's his return, right? A surprise.
Yep.
Bradshaw's 4. Lance Storm's 5.
And Brett. So
And
Lance Storm holds his own in this match for a long time.
Bradshaw's the tag team guy at this point.
Tag team guy, but I think he was a believable entrant.
No,
No,
this
you don't
point.
think so?
Not at this
Watching
point.
it, I felt like they positioned him as looking strong.
Well, he didn't really because he didn't get that push until 04, 05. You know the JBL character. He was still just a tag team. You know, he was this. Big,
And I
big
watched
tough
that thing
guy,
I watched that thing on Peacock.
What? Which thing?
Uh,
It was like a documentary.
24/7 when they became APA.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's so good.
Well, I
Anyway.
mean, this is a whole separate podcast, but has anyone been more mismanaged than Ron Simmons?
No.
No,
big-
because he was the first ever African American champion, and you know.
Yeah,
that
but I
was-
mean, like
that was her turn.
he was Ron Simmons. He was Farouk. He was in what was what?
The Nation of Domination was really good for him. It was how they brought him out as Farouk Assad, where he was like the gladiator. That was fucked up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And as APA, I thought they were a badass, kick-ass.
Badass.
team.
Anyway,
You know what I mean?
6 is Al Snow, 7's Billy Gunn, 8 is The Undertaker.
So you see now how they booked this Rumble. It's like 8 undercard guys before Taker comes
Well,
out.
so far we had Big Boss Man return, probably not going to win. Bradshaw, tag team member. 5 was who?
Lance Storm.
Lance Storm,
Not
another
gonna-
tag guy.
Gonna win.
Another tag guy not going to win.
6 is Al Snow.
All right,
Not gonna
another
win.
guy not going
7
to
is
win.
Billy Gunn.
Another tag team guy.
Another tag. Well,
He's tagging with Billy at
oh,
this
he's
point.
Billy at this point. Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
here-
Chuck. Bill,
Chuck. Chucky and he was Billy. Chucky and Billy.
So-
Yeah, sorry.
So here we go. Now the storylines start to kind of form. So Taker at 8.
It gets to number 8 for us to get
And
our
Taker,
first
like-
real contender
and
at
Taker
Taker.
gets in and like cleans house, right?
Yeah,
He's standing in the ring alone at number 9 when Matt Hardy comes out.
Yeah.
And then number 10 Jeff Hardy comes out,
Mm-hmm.
and he clears the 2 of them out. And then who comes out at 11?
Maven.
Maven, who's just won season 1 of Tough Enough, and ultimately, I mean, this match probably didn't help him out too much in his.
No bullshit. This is the moment of the match. He eliminates the Undertaker.
Yeah,
They tried
yeah.
very.
This is the moment of the match.
This is
Yeah.
the moment of the match where it's fucking Maven. Like
So let's just.
But did it pay off long term? Because who's fucking Maven?
yeah, but at the time, this really
Yeah.
helped them out.
So-
I mean, you have to look at it. You can't look at it from like, well, did it work out? No, it didn't work out. But Maven, this gave him such a big, for the next however many months, he's like winning the hardcore championship. I mean, he got that little boost from this match.
Yeah, it wasn't for lack of effort that it didn't work
right,
out.
Right. So I mean, Undertaker beat the shit out of him after the fact,
So-
which kind of killed it a little bit. But
Right. So that's what I knew
Undertaker
there was something
eliminates. Undertaker comes in at 8 and eliminates 7 people.
that clears the ring.
Undertaker, right, is eliminated at 10.
by Maven,
Mm-hmm.
Maven's at 11. Maven comes in at
because
11.
Taker comes in 9, then it's Hardy and Hardy,
Matt and
then
Jeff,
it's Maven,
and then
right?
Maven.
And then Undertaker comes back into the ring to eliminate Maven.
And then who comes in after that? Isn't it like Hardcore Holly or something?
Scotty to Hottie.
Oh, right.
Scotty Too Hottie comes in. We do get a worm. We do get a big pop. One of those. Even
Well,
back
he's
then.
in the ring by himself at that point, right? Isn't he in the ring by himself, and that's when he does the worm, or no?
No, he does the worm on someone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then we got Christian. I'm going to do 3 here.
Another tag team.
Christian,
No,
Diamond
not
Dallas
going to
Page.
Singles.
He's not tagging with Lance Storm at this point.
Oh, maybe they're the Un-Americans at this point.
Mhm.
I thought they hadn't formed yet as the Un-Americans.
They might not have, but I thought they were tag
And they
team.
might have been taken, but I thought this
I don't
was-
think they had Test as their lackey yet.
This
but,
was like when he had like that theme song where it's like, Christian, you're finally on your own.
Mhm.
So I thought
Yeah.
maybe that's why he wasn't.
So Christian at 13, Diamond Dallas Page at 14. Chuck.
Page, I think, was a surprise, was he not?
Yeah, I believe.
No, he was there because he did
No,
the stalker
'cause-
gimmick with
yeah,
Taker.
Yep.
Chuck Palumbo at 15.
Okay.
Godfather at
Tag team
16.
guy. Godfather. The whole deal was the entrance, in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He lasted 2 minutes.
Yep.
Albert.
Prince Albert,
Mm-hmm.
He lasted 48 seconds.
another guy who's not going to win.
He lasted 48 seconds. Perry Saturn. And now we'll get to that.
Perry,
Now,
I forgot about Perry Saturn until I saw him come out. Talk about roided up.
That guy was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Way ahead of his time.
As far as being like a big guy that moved the way he did,
Yeah,
right?
way
Yeah.
ahead of his time.
so far we have one guy through 18 that
One legitimate
we could
contender
think
so far.
legitimately win with just Undertaker. Okay. 19, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Here we go. Guy who's done it 3 times already at this point, or twice
3
at this
times.
point? 3 times already.
Because he was the previous year's winner.
He won 97, 99, and 01, right?
97,
99, 01.
no, 97, 98, 01.
97, 98, 01.
99
Gotcha.
Vince won.
90, 91 King of the Ring.
No,
Right?
96 he won King of the Ring. 97, 98, 01. 99 Vince won.
90, 91 King of the Ring.
96 he won King of the Ring.
Who won 99 King of the Ring?
I want to say Billy Gunn.
Really? Okay.
Stone Cold enters at 19. Like I said, he lasts 27 minutes and 46 seconds. He also eliminates 7 people. 20, Val Venus. 21, Test. 22, Triple H.
There's the winner.
So we've seen, he is the winner of 22. So we've seen 3 guys now.
And Test,
Well, I
at
mean,
that point,
depending on how you view Test, Test might have been a guy who you would think about.
he has a chance.
Winning
Yeah,
it? All right. Well,
because Test was, the 6 foot. Was he 6'8", 6'9"?
No,
Sub.
he's like 6'6".
he was a big guy.
He's
Yeah, he
a
was
big guy. Had
Still
the
a big guy,
look.
one
He's
way
the
or
super. He's the guy that Vince would want to push, regardless of how many times he fails.
And now we enter that sweet spot. So the Hurricane, 23. Farouk, 24. Mr. Perfect, 25.
One of the final 4, Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
This is right before he died, right?
Well, he was on the plane ride from hell after this,
Mm-hmm.
which was after WrestleMania. He was actually, I have it in my notes here. He was contracted to the XWF, which was Jimmy Hart after he had left WCW, tried to start a promotion. He had Hulk help him for a couple of shows. It was TNA before TNA because it was like a pay-per-view style, and they were building the company around Mr. Perfect.
Huh.
So Hogan and Perfect didn't touch, but they were both on the show because they were like the name identity guys, and they had like random, like Superfly Snuka was on there, Piper was on there. They brought a lot of these older guys back, but then they were trying to build up these young guys, and I forget who, but there's a big time wrestler that came out of there like as a young guy. I forget who it was, but at the time he was not contracted to the WWF. He was contracted to the XWF
At the time of the Rumble.
at the time of the Rumble. Just an interesting footnote.
So, Mr. Perfect, 25. Okay, so now, Kurt Angle at 26.
There's a
legitimate contender.
Big Show, 27.
Legitimate contender.
Kane, 28.
Legitimate.
Rob Van Dam, 29.
Legitimate.
Yes.
Because that's when he was first starting to get his like push.
Right.
Because
And they pushed the shit out of Rob Van Dam.
They weren't going to put the title on, but he was going to be the IC.
We've come to learn.
Right,
I don't know
because
if it
of
was
the-
common knowledge, the wall of kayfabe being what it was still 20 years ago, and the lack of the internet wrestling community. I don't know. You could tell me. Did we know at the time that the reason he would never get the title was because he was such a
Pothead?
not even a pothead. He was a pothead, but he was also
Like an advocate?
an advocate,
Yeah.
and that's why they would never put the belt on him. But
Yeah.
did we know that then? Did you know that?
No.
No.
I mean, I knew he smoked. Everybody knew he smoked pot. I mean, how,
Yeah.
you know.
How do you not
Right.
know?
30 was.
30 was, and I mean, you guys can guess if you want, but he actually lasted the least amount of time. out
Was
of
it like a
everybody.
joke?
Nope. Some could even say, maybe not at this time, he was a viable winner, but 33 seconds he lasted. Any guesses at all?
I'm trying to like.
From WCW, I'll give you a big hint.
Booker T.
Yep.
If you let me just get there, I would have got there.
I believe you. I believe you.
I would have
But
to think long and hard, but
He got in. He eliminated Rob Van Dam immediately,
and then somebody. knocked
and
him.
then Stone Cold Steve Austin eliminates him.
Well, that was at the end of their feud because that's after the grocery store and all that other stuff.
Right. So
Hey, got milk?
Man, talk about a guy that came 20
So,
years too early.
Final
Booker.
four.
No, I mean Booker had his due.
So final four: Triple H, Kurt Angle, Mr. Perfect, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
4 legitimate contenders, which you always love to see that. Whitey, do you know, run down how the Final 4 played out? Do you know enough
I
to...
think Austin eliminated Perfect, and then I'm guessing Austin eliminated Perfect, Angle eliminated Austin, Triple H eliminated Angle. If I'm not mistaken.
I know Triple H eliminated Angle because Alcino said it already.
Kurt Angle and Mr. Perfect eliminate Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's what it was.
Then Triple H eliminates Mr. Perfect and Kurt Angle.
At the same time?
No,
or-
not at the same time. With a minute and change past each other.
So this Rumble, obviously, it sets up the return of Triple H, and it sets up, Triple H as we know him today for the most part, right? The character of Triple H, because was he kind of still
Well,
Hunter Hearst Helmsley
here's what
before
happened.
this?
When he left, when he blew out his quad, he was the number one heel in the company. He was feuding with Angle, who Angle at that point was kind of like 50-50. Like he was kind of leaning towards being a face, but he was still being a heel a little bit. Because Austin and Rock were not there. Because when Triple H got hurt, they had all 3 of their big guns were gone. Rock was doing the movie,
Mhm.
Austin was hurt, and Triple H now was hurt. So when he came back, he got that incredible pop at the Garden, which people consider to be the biggest pop, one of the biggest pops of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't a surprise. They knew he was coming out, but they gave him such a long, sustained pop. I think Jim Ross talks about on his podcast how he just laid out for a good minute and a half. Jerry was trying to be Jerry, and Ross put his hand on his knee and was like, "No, let's lay out. Let him have it." You know what I mean? And I think that was the deciding factor to have Triple H go over Jericho because Jericho conceivably could have still been the champion. They could have had him feud with Austin and beat Austin and still continue that catapult. But because he came back and the response was so strong, and then the worst part was it was all trumped by Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but this is leading into the formation of Evolution.
It's even before that.
It's a little bit before that.
Wasn't even a thought yet. Because Triple H and Flair hadn't even come together yet. So this is after now they signed Hogan, Hall, and Nash. They're bringing the NWO in. What are you doing with Austin? What are you doing with The Rock? So they have the two top stars feud with the NWO. Obviously, Hogan and Rock go into a feud with each other because Austin didn't want to work with Hogan. So it should have been Austin Hogan. Instead, it was Austin Rock. And then obviously the fans turned Hogan because they wanted Hogan like me. I mean, I wanted to see Hogan beat The Rock.
So,
obviously,
2 real quick footnotes. Kane's known to eliminate how many people, right? All the time.
Yeah, he's got the record.
He eliminates
12.
He eliminates 1 in this match.
Well, I think Reigns has the record now.
It's the Big Show.
I think they're tied.
Okay.
Yeah, so he eliminates 1 person. It is the Big Show. And the other thing is Stone Cold Steve Austin eliminates his 36th career competitor from the Royal Rumble.
Most ever, right?
Which he would hold the record for 8 years until Shawn Michaels breaks it at the 2010 Royal Rumble. So that's it. That's the Royal Rumble in and of itself. So now, basically, I know we got into it already, right? But these are the feuds that are born from it. We got Maven and Undertaker. We have.
Well, that wasn't really a feud as much as Undertaker was bullying Maven at that point.
Okay, well, it was a program, I guess.
Yeah,
I think if anything, it also moved the needle on the Jeff Taker.
Yes.
Right.
And which ultimately one of the other greatest what ifs.
Did any of these guys that came back? There were one-off returns, or Godfather was a one-off return.
No, Godfather was kind of they didn't really do anything with
Was there any return that had substantial
Goldust?
So he was back and
because Goldust got into the tag team with Booker T after that, and they had that great run.
Yeah, they did have a good run.
I mean, they were a comedy tag team, but they were a great comedy tag team.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I should say.
So, yes. And
I think the thing with this Rumble is if you look at it top to bottom, it's the way that you book a Royal Rumble. You have everything that everybody was missing this year, you had it here. Because, what moment at the Rumble, I mean, granted, we know what happened with Kofi. We didn't discuss it in our Rumble thing, but what happened with Kofi? Kofi botched that he was supposed to catch the ball, and he.
Which I saw someone on Twitter, don't know who it was, I was pretty sure it was a nobody, pointed out. So Kofi slipped and botched it. Who gives a fuck? The ref didn't see it. It's pro wrestling.
Right.
Why do we have to just, he's out now and now we're fucked?
Well, the ref was
pacing.
right there. That's the best.
here's the thing: you're never gonna book him to win. You're always because he can't because he does the spectacle every year.
Because what if something like what happened last?
And that's fine. No.
But how many times has he done it? And this is the first time we've seen the
guy
botch.
To do something that could easily be botched over and over every year. Do something different. That you know what I mean? That ain't easy, man. Come on.
But again, I think
it's not the first Rumble botch we've seen. I mean, they botched.
They botched the finish.
The Batista and Cena finish.
Well, my point. Getting back to my point, I think what this Rumble had is what this year's Rumble was lacking. You had the surprise returns. You had spots that meant something, not just one guy and then another guy and then another guy and. Nothing's really happening, and we're all kind of looking at the monitor to see who's coming out. I mean, this was well booked, well executed. You had the right Final Four. It was set up every way you wanted a Rumble to be set up. And I think because of that, this is one of the most overlooked and underrated Rumbles out there. And plus, 20 Hall of Famers in one match is incredible.
And with the return thing, the surprise return thing at the Rumble, you say what you want about Shane Helms. the Hurricane character resonated with people.
Oh,
So
yeah.
even if he wasn't a legitimate threat to win, and even if he was only in there for 30 seconds or whatever, the music, the entrance, the seeing him in the getup, him getting to do his one little,
Yeah, but he wasn't over like he was until he beat The Rock. Like, people forget that was after this. That was when
Right.
when Rock came back as Hollywood Rock.
But even like Godfather comes out, huge reaction. Everybody, whether he can win, whether he has any shot to win or not, everyone's excited to see him.
Right.
Didn't feel the same way in 2016 when the Boogeyman came out.
well,
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't feel the same way when Kelly Kelly is in the Rumble every year.
But it's
Well,
different.
here's the thing. Like, I think the Rumble 02 is like the Attitude Era hangover. So you still, you had Val Venus in there, who was like a big Attitude Era guy. You had Goldust in there, big Attitude Era guy. You had Farouk, Bradshaw, Billy Gunn, all these guys that were involved with the Attitude Era, but now their characters are evolving. They still have that sort of top layer of the Attitude Era, but it's moving into that Ruthless Aggression Era. Because 02 is such a transition from the Attitude Era to the Ruthless Aggression Era, where you still have elements of the Attitude Era, but it's also, you're moving towards that PG era. And I think that's what this Rumble was. It was that kind of finishing up of that one, obviously the biggest era in the history of WWE, where they did the most business and everything, but moving into this transitional phase now where new wrestlers, what is old is new again with Hogan, what is old is new again with Ric Flair, what is old is new again with these WCW guys that weren't able to come in. So it's 02 is such an interesting year that I think we're going to be looking at a lot in Flashback Friday, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, we've done 2 so far, and they're 2002 pay-per-views.
It's unfortunate we just did SummerSlam out of order. We should have waited till.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's just so crazy to me. I was just looking up Test, a couple of guys. He died from an overdose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I didn't know.
Was it
that.
overdose or steroids?
No,
Overdose.
oxycodone overdose. 34 years old. He died. 33 years old. Sorry. He was engaged to Stacy Keibler
Yeah.
and then Kelly Kelly.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good for you.
Probably about a big hog.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Probably he left little to the imagination with the trunks.
How about when he was with Stacy and they did the testicles?
Yeah, yeah.
What's up, all my testicles? Like, what the?
6'6", 285.
The big reason that I've been thinking about Test recently, besides these flashbacks that we've been doing, is the test drive. Relatively, the swinging cutter from the fireman's carry
Mhm.
position. You guys know? Are you familiar with Austin Theory's finish?
Is that what it is?
It's the test drive, but instead of dropping it into a cutter,
Stunner.
face breaker on his knee.
Oh.
He swings him out and then drops to one knee and face breaker, cutter style on his own knee. Very good finish.
Theory's the future of that company.
Well, it was Cornette said it recently and he was there for both. He was running Ohio Valley Wrestling at the time, right?
Yeah.
Booking and running it. He said that Theory is more talented than Cena was at that age.
Oh yeah. Theory's you can see
He's small, but he's not too small.
He's not tiny.
He's not tiny. He's not. I mean, he's just as big as Rollins. No.
Look at him and AJ in the Rumble match. You know what I mean?
Right, but AJ was a guy who forever never really got his due in the mainstream because he was little.
Well, but I'm just saying, look at the size comparison. Not nothing to do. I'm saying just look at the size when the two of them were locking up in the Rumble. I mean, he's not a small guy.
Big
AJ's
Boss
a
Man
big
is
guy.
significantly bigger than Test.
Well, Boss Man was huge.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was significantly bigger than Test.
Boss Man.
He
Boss
was
Man,
also Tugboat, right?
no.
No, who that was
That's
Typhoon.
Fred Ottman.
He was Typhoon and
Yeah.
Tugboat
He was,
and
Shockmaster.
Shockmaster. Shockmaster, what a joke.
DOA, man. Shockmaster was fucking
JB,
DOA.
Bradshaw and Test are built the exact same height and weight.
Yeah.
Which
I believe it though because
Yeah, but
Test was fucking
Test-
roided out and Bradshaw looked relatively natural
Well,
for most of his run.
JBL was
Yeah.
like a country corn-fed
Corn-fed boy,
country
yeah.
boy.
and he's one of the
is like
most
a gym
intelligent people ever in the history of WWE. It's not from a WWE perspective. From
Test?
No, JBL.
No,
JBL.
JBL.
Financial genius.
Financial, yeah. Like still on CNN, still on Stock
Oh, yeah.
Market Watch, still on all those things all the time.
Well, I think for the listeners
Books.
of this podcast, if they're looking for, they're down about the this year's Rumble or the 2022 Royal Rumble, and you want to watch a Rumble that's entertaining, that's booked the way any Royal Rumble should be booked, then go back and watch this one. Because I think this one doesn't get its due the way that 92, 97. I mean, for me, 92, 97 are the two best.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is like a close third.
Wasn't 12 good too? Didn't we say 12 was good?
No, 12 was the one that Whitey really likes, but we both
we both said it wasn't.
Said why 12?
Yeah,
we both were like, why 12?
The reason I picked like 02, 2012, it's
increments of 10.
It's the anniversaries. You know what I mean? So it's like the 10 year. We could have done like the 2017 Royal Rumble, which was 5 years ago, which wouldn't have been a bad choice.
We should do the 2016 one because we were in the building.
Okay.
That's one we should do. And we don't have to wait till next Rumble season to do more Rumbles.
Conrad Thompson's podcast, The Podfather. We'll call him The Podfather because that's what he is. Shout out to Conrad Thompson. If you ever listen to us, bro, hit us up, man. You seem like a good dude. We're a bunch of good dudes. See, like I'm not just gonna shit on everybody on this podcast. I'm gonna throw shade and I'm gonna throw sunshine when it's.
I like that. Throw shade and sunshine,
shade
baby.
And sunshine, baby.
So Conrad Thompson, he always picks on like anniversaries, which I think is it's just because. And I think we should pick events that are close to the events that we pick for Flashback Friday. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you want to write in the comments or something what you want to see. We're just a bunch of dudes who love wrestling.
Right. HOH podcasting on Instagram.
So there you go.
There's the plug for that.
That's what I'm saying, man. You got to hit us up. What is it? HOH.
HOH podcasting.
So if you hear that HOH podcast, tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want us to bullshit about. I mean, we're just three wrestling fans bullshitting about this. And that's what it is. I mean, right, guys? I mean,
yeah. Well, it's hard to do the flashbacks close to things because we have Elimination Chamber coming up, and the Elimination Chamber used to be that match was held at No Way Out and Vengeance.
Right. So let's do a No Way Out, Vengeance, or
I mean, you could pick. How about Survivor Series 02, the first ever
Elimination Chamber?
We can pick that.
We're just gonna knock out every show they ever did in 02. We're doing fucking.
I mean, we could do a 20-year retrospective. Or, I mean, we could do a 5-year retrospective. We could do a 2-year retrospective.
I'm going to look back at the entire card from TNA Total Nonstop Actions Victory Road 2011 to see if the entire card is worth giving an episode to, because I would like to get into the Jeff Hardy story because there's a lot of interesting things that went into that. Down to the fact, just a little quick tidbit. I don't know if either one of you know about this. This is obviously the main event match against Sting for the title of Big 14 pay-per-view. Jeff Hardy's music hits. Time from music hits to Jeff Hardy coming through the curtain.
2 minutes.
45 seconds.
Feels like 2 minutes.
It's an eternity.
Yeah, it's an eternity.
It's an eternity. So, but we'll possibly break down that next month.
Be on the lookout. House of Havoc, we're coming at you hard.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and as always, we are brought to you by House of Havoc, Tiger Pack Productions, Sachi Di Dinero, and Stay Thirsty Company. Peace out.